my mother and father. My father was named Sam Ratchford. My mother was named Kizzy Dawkins Ratchford. And to that union were born uh, eight eight children. My father had a brother named John, and he had a brother named uh, Jim, and he had a brother named Robert, and he had a sister named Eliza, and he had a sister named Ellen, my father, and then his name was Sam, my father. That was my father's family. And his mother was named, her name was Mariah. Mariah. That was my father's mother's name, but I never got to see her. She passed before I was born, but that was her name. And then, now she was a slave. My father's mother was a slave. And then back to my mother's side of the people, my mother's father was named Elias Dawkins, and he had let me see, he had a son named James Dawkins, had one named John Dawkins, he had one named Boyd Dawkins, Boyd, and he had a daughter named Eugenia Dawkins, and he had my mother named Kizzy. Oh yeah, and he had another son named Thomas. I think he had four sons and two daughters, Eugenia and Kizzy. Those was the girls. And in my side, my mother had 8 children. I think it was 8, and my oldest brother was named Hezekiah. He had one son, and named Benny. And then my oldest sister, she had 3 children. Name was Virginia, Gary, and Howard. And then my next oldest sister, she had the 12 children. That would take too long to name all that, but she had 12 children. And then my other brother, he had one son. That brother was named Bert. He had one son. And then my other brother, he had about 3 or 4 children. I think he did. I can't think of their name. Yeah, I do. One of them named Henry Lee. I forgot one name named Henry Lee. And one of the girls was named Ann, and one was named Mason. And then I had one daughter named Annie Ruth. And then that was it, because I was the baby of all in the family. I was the youngest one, and my brother Jackson, he didn't have no children at all. And my brother Hezekiah, he had one, which is Sanguinetha's father, Benny. I don't know if you heard of him or not. Anyway, he had one son. So that's all the children. And on my father's side, I named his brothers, and then, but Uncle Robert, he had 4 sons. I do remember that. One was named Jim, one was named Fred and Harry, and he had Fred and Harry and Jim, and John. That's what he had. So, and then Uncle John, that was Papa's brother. He had one daughter named Cleo, one girl named Cleo, and that's about the gist. Cause now there wasn't too many. They didn't have. My only sister, the only one had all them children. She the only one had the 12, but the rest of them in the family didn't have. About 7 or 8 is about how as it went. So that's about the gist of both sides of my daddy's side of people and my mama's side of people. That's about all the children I can remember. But today, I don't have any first cousins living anywhere. Only cousins I have, second, third, fourth, and on down till they run out. I don't have no first cousins at all. My last first cousin died about 15 years ago in Spartanburg. Her name was Dorothy Harris, and that was Uncle Uncle Thomas's daughter. But she's been dead many, many years now. So, and I'm the oldest living grandchild in the world of my family, and the only one of Grandpa's grandchildren, I'm the only one left alive. Only one. So that just about that only. But I have gobs and gobs of cousins, but I don't even know my relatives because they way beneath my age, and I don't know a lot of them. In Shelby, North Carolina, right now, I got a lot of cousins. I don't even know them. I know one or two of them, and then I got cousins in Greensboro, North Carolina. I know a few of them. I got cousins in Spartanburg, South Carolina. But then I got cousins up here in Alexander, Virginia. I barely know him. He's my Uncle Boyd's grandson. So I just really, I don't know the younger generation. They all, because the ones my age and older and younger, they all passed away. San Cunetta is my niece. She's my oldest brother's son's daughter. My oldest brother's son is his daughter, and she is my great niece. My great niece. Her daddy is my nephew, and she's my great niece. Yeah, my oldest brother was Hezekiah. He fought in World War I, and he said in the army they were segregated. They didn't live in the same bunks. When they'd go out to fight and come back, they were segregated. Only time they was together was in the foxholes when the enemies was after them. But when they come back, they didn't eat at the same table. Now you think about it, in the war, here they are trying to win a country. They still got the blacks separated from the whites. Blacks separated from the white, and so he said it was real tough, and yeah, but he came through. He came out with, he wasn't shot up or nothing. He came out and he lived to be 92, I believe was my oldest brother.
94.
94? Okay, lived to be 94, my oldest brother. First president I remember was Roosevelt. That's the one I remember good. That's the one I remember good. I remember Roosevelt, I remember Truman, Johnson, Reagan, Bush, on down, and Obama, and then now, what his name? Trump. I remember him, yeah. Oh, Clinton, yeah, I remember Clinton. I forgot Clinton. I remember Clinton was before Obama. I remember Carter in Georgia. We called him the peanut president because they raised a lot of peanuts in that little town where he was in Georgia.
This is so beautiful. Okay, now let's talk about your love life.
No, well, let me see. Well, my love life, like I told you, I ran away. Well, I ran away and got married early, and then I went back to school and got my GED. But I was first married to a man named Dr. Degree. That was my first marriage, and that was when my daughter came through that marriage. My daughter Annie, that was her father, Dr. Degree. So then, after we divorced, for many years later, we divorced. Well, she grew up and was in college. Were you out of college when we divorced? She was out of college when we divorced. But then we divorced, and then about 8 years later, I married another man named Ulysses Hamilton. Ulysses Simpson Hamilton. I married him, and we lived together 10 years, and he had a heart attack just out of the blue, and he went away. So I had a good marriage life. I had a good marriage life and everything, and he left me in nice condition. He owned about 24 acres of land, and he had just built a little new brick bungalow house on it, and so he left me everything he had, and so and I kept it and stayed there for 6 years after we lived about 10 miles out of Shelby, North Carolina, in a little place called Boiling Springs, just about 10 miles. It was a little suburb town of Shelby. And we lived there for the 10 years while he was living. And then after he passed away, I lived there 6 more years. And then it got to lonesome, and I decided to go back to the city. Then I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina in 1983, and I lived there until 2016, and I moved here to live with my daughter right here in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, and in the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I've been here 2.5 years, so I guess I'll go on to glory from here. I ain't moving no more. Lord, honey, child, oh, Lord, the world has so changed. I used to, well, see, when I came along, we didn't make no money. I used to make $3 a week. That's what I made. I worked every Sunday out of the month but one. I got off one Sunday a month. I worked every Sunday. They called my job a half a day. I went to work every morning at 7:30 and got off around 1 o'clock when we got through with dinner and got through washing dishes. Then I went home. Didn't have to go back no more till the next day. That's what they call a half a day job. I got made $3 a week. But I worked for some rich people, and he had hundreds and hundreds of acres of land out there in Cleveland County. He had a whole lot of black and white tenants on his farm, and they raised cotton, corn, potatoes, peanuts, and vegetables. And see, he would bring in big boxes of vegetables from the farm during the summertime, and watermelons and cantaloupes and you name it. He brought everything, peanuts. And so they would give me, and pecan, they had all them pecan, they would give me stuff, and I would take stuff home with me. Yeah. And then she had a big garden right there in her yard, my white lady. She used to look, that was her hobby, working out in the garden. I never worked in the garden. I worked in the house. She worked in the garden. She'd be out there in that garden, and she'd be working in that garden till time for him to come to lunch. He was out in the country riding them tractors with them farmers out there, seeing to it that everything went well. So me and her was in town, but she'd be out in the garden. I'd be in the house cleaning up, cooking dinner. So he came to dinner every day at 12 o'clock. Then she would come in, and I'd serve their dinner, and they would eat. And when they got through eating, then I'd go in and eat, wash the dishes, and then I'd go home. And he'd take him a nap, and he'd sleep till 1 o'clock, and he'd get up and go back to the farm. And so that's how we did. And then I had another job working for some people. A guy that worked in the mill. I stayed with his wife worked at night, and he went to work at 6 o'clock in the evening, and I stayed with his baby from 6 until 10 when his wife got off. And I did that now that was $2.50 a week. That's all I made, $2.50 a week. But let me tell you what you could do with that little bit of money. When Andrew was little, we used to get in the car and go up to Shelby. They had a store up there called Magnus Market, and it sold everything: stew beef, 10 cents a pound; pork sausage, 10 cents a pound; dozen of eggs, 10 cents a pound; sugar was 5 cents a pound; fatback meat was 3 cents a pound; and a loaf of bread was a nickel if it was a day old, and if it was fresh, it was 10 cents. And that's how we lived. And string beans and all that kind of stuff was 5 and 10 cents a pound. And I mean, they was big pounds back then. If you got 15 cents worth of stew beef, you'd have a great big pot of stew beef. And we used to cook all that, and fish, and we used to buy 15 cents worth of croakers. And me and Andrew, I'd come home, we'd get on the back porch, read out newspaper. We'd scale them fish and clean them and cut them open, and have a big pan of water there and put them over in the clean water. And we'd have scales all in our hair and face and all over the place. But that's how we come up. And my house rent was $3 a week. My husband I think he was making $16 a week, and I was making $3. So we was living good. We paid, like on our furniture, we paid $1.25 a week on the furniture. We paid $3 a month for the rent, and your light bill wasn't never nothing much, and your water bill, you didn't have to pay no water bill, but your light bill was never nothing much. So that's how we lived, and we lived just as good then as we living now, making the hundreds and $300 and $400 and $500 a week, what people make now and more. We was living because stuff is triple high. Now you take catfish, it's $5 and some odd cents a pound. Any fine fish, trout, filleted fish, you get it. That fish cost you a lot of money, but we didn't pay nothing much for it back then. And we had people in the country used to come into town on Saturday peddling their groceries. They bring watermelon, cantaloupe, eggs, butter, chickens, all kind of vegetables out of the garden. And they used to park that little old Mr. Dutch Curry and Miss Curry. They'd park that little wagon right across the street in front of my house. And everybody on that street, here come the vegetable man. Everybody run out with their little quarters and 10 cents. You could get a big frying size chicken, but you had to pick it yourself for 25 cents. When them big old Rhode Island Reds, or either they call them Dominicas, they were chickens, big old fat, beautiful chickens. You get them for 25 cents a piece. And then you could get, like I said, your green beans. You get a great big bag of green beans for 10 cents, 15 cents, whatever you paid. And tomatoes, ooh, and onions, and cantaloupe, ooh, you just get all that good old stuff right out the ground, And we live good. Well, I don't know much about technology. And I don't know too much. I don't know how to. Well, I started taking computer lessons. That's when my eyesight started failing. I had gotten where I could I had learned how to type them poems. You had to type. Where they started off teaching us seniors. I lived in a senior building, and we had a computer room. It's there now, in Charlotte, and they start you off by teaching you how to type on a typewriter. I learned how to type the poem, and I got where I didn't make no mistakes. And I think it was 5 verses. It was like a poem, and you type that. I learned how to do that, and the lady had just started me on to teaching me how to play the games on the computer. And then she was just getting ready for me to go into she told me how to get on the internet and all that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, my eyes, I got that glaucoma, and I had to quit. I couldn't see every time I'd go to look at something. My eyes would fill up with water. It just kept me cleaning my eyes clean. So I took one course, and I had to quit. So, and all I do now, I got goddaughters and friends. Anything I want to do on technology, they do it for me. That's how I keep up. I used to babysit for a white guy in Charlotte, and he knew my eyes got bad. 'Cause one day I was backing out of his driveway, and hit the split right in the middle of his pretty hedge. His pretty flower. He had a big old flower right there. I went right in the middle of it and squished it. But he didn't care. So when I quit, he said, Gertrude, I'm going to help you to get this reading book. So that the Blind Association in Raleigh, the Handicapped and Blind in Raleigh, has a book tape that you can get to listen to. Because I used to, when I first started babysitting, he subscribed for me for Reader's Digest. I used to read that book. And then later on, he said, I'm going to get you. So he did. He called and made all the arrangements, and then told him my name and gave me the number, and I called. And I got started with that. It's the mercy. Listen, it's a favor from God. God designed my life before I was born. You know he had to. That's all I tell everybody. I have not done anything, haven't been good, haven't been perfect, made a zillion mistakes in my life. So ain't nothing good that I've done to cause me to live. It's the mercies of the good Lord. I give him all of the credit, all of the honor, all the glory, and all the praise. I'm telling you. And he's in my life, and he walks and guides my heart and mind every day, keeps my mind sane. The good Lord does that. I got people, me and a girl used to teach Sunday school. I'm old enough for her mother. And she doesn't know she in the world today. She down in Charlotte in a rest home. She doesn't know her husband. She doesn't know none of her children. She doesn't know anybody. And then I got another girl. She's not quite that bad, but she doesn't know nothing either. I used to carry them to the conventions, and we come and teach them in Sunday school and all that. They gone, and they cheering under me. And then I got some my age. They gone now. My good friend Margaret Alexander in Charlotte. She was a teacher. She married the mortician there, and they got a big business, the Alexander business. If you ever go to Charlotte, Alexander Mortuary is one of the oldest funeral homes in Charlotte. And they've been living good for all these years, but she doesn't know nothing no more. She has to be taken care of. And me and her used to call each other and talk on the phone and laugh and have fun. But now I had to stop talking to her because she couldn't talk to me no more. I can't talk to her now. Well, I tell all young people, don't forget don't forget God and how He has blessed you and blessed your parents and how He has blessed you. And don't get so high and mighty because you got a PhD degree or because you got a fine house sitting up on the hill. You might live in Hollywood. You might be a movie star. You might make $10 million in 2 months. But you can that won't give you no life if the Lord don't say so. Your life, our lives are in the hands of the Lord. And ain't nothing we can do if the Lord doesn't see fit to give us these favors. We won't get them. Some people was born for long lives and some was born. Look at little babies. You go to the cemetery, you got all kind of little short graves. Some children didn't live to get here. Before they got to the world, they died. Or died time they got in the world. So it's a favor from God, my thing is. And God has a purpose and a plan for everybody's life. And I always say, Lord, whatever my purpose and plan, please let me do it. And I feel that my purpose and plan was to encourage and talk to people like you talking. I feel like that's what God left me here to do, to encourage people and talk to them and let them know I don't take no credit for not one breath I draw, not now, because I know God is the head of my life. Now that's all I know. I didn't have any trouble getting around until I got in my 90s, because when I was 60s and 70s and 80s, I was driving all over the country, to Greenwood, South Carolina, to Raleigh, to Asheville, anywhere I wanted to go. I didn't have any trouble, and it just started bothering me after I got in my 90s. After I got well in after my 90th birthday, I didn't have no trouble. But when I got near the 100 is when I started kind of slowing down. And then since I've been 100 and something, then I can't do too much no more now. But I was really blessed. I drove a car until I was I drove the car until I was 89 years old. It sure did. Went anywhere I wanted to go. I would like to be remembered by the good deeds I've done and the help I've helped people. And when I go now, give you a little example. I was in Charlotte the first Saturday in May this month to a wedding, to my little godson's wedding. So it's a lady there in my home church. She used to make me egg custard, them old-fashioned egg custard. I don't know if you ever heard tell of that or not. They call them egg pies or egg custard. And they made out of eggs, and they delicious. Eggs and milk and butter and flavoring. And that's what they made. And they put it in a pie crust, and they bake just like a sweet potato pie. You know what that is, don't you? Okay, so she knew I was coming, so she made me one. And so I couldn't get hold of her till this morning to tell her how good it was. I had thanked her for it, but I hadn't tasted it because she brought it to church to me that Sunday. And so I was calling, and so I was telling her, she said, but listen, Miss Hamilton, the reason why people like you, you're a kind, sweet, lovable person. She said, that's why people remember you and like you so well. I said, well, that's the best news. I try to be. I try to be kind and nice to everybody. And I ain't perfect. Yeah, I get mad too like anybody else. But, I try to. And the older I get, the more I realize now that I can forgive people. I get mad at you, I was mad. But now I can forgive you. I don't care what you do. So that's how I want to be remembered by the good deed that I left here for others to go by, to see the results of my life. I got this letter from President Obama, and that was one of the most exciting things in my life because I didn't know he was thinking about me. And it was true. My godson had tried to get it where that he was going to call me on my 100th birthday, but it wasn't possible because I think he was on a mission. And he didn't, but yeah, my godson, Gregory Moss, he was going to set it up, but he didn't get it done. So yeah, Obama and Miss Obama, I appreciate this and everything that they sent me. Oh, my prayer for my family that they would never forget the Lord, always trust in Him, and be sure to know that He is the center of their lives, whether they accept Him. And I wish all of them to be saved from and their hearts and lives be saved. And when they leave this world, they know they have a home in heaven with Jesus. That's my prayer for my family. I don't know. You know, some say they when you get to heaven, it's all angels and everybody be praising and bowing and praising to the Lord. But if it's any way, now you hear preachers preach, you know one another. I don't know about that. I'm not sure you're going to know. But I think your spirits is going to meet because they'll be spirits, And I think they're going to meet. You're going to have a new body. See, we're not going to have these old bodies. In the resurrection, we're going to have new bodies. And I always say I've had surgery for gallbladders and other things, and for knee surgery. I got knee replacements in both knees, and I always say, Lord, this old body is all cut up and scarred up. I want to have a beautiful, new, bright, shining body when I get there. And I think about the mansions that in John that God talked about. He going to prepare a place for us, and when He come back to receive us, He gonna receive us unto His place. That's what I'm looking for. I want my family to be there too, and friends. Yeah, but this is my baby. This is my baby right here, my daughter, Annie Caldwell. This is my daughter.
My name is Annie Caldwell. I've lived in Philadelphia since I left college. And I came here to go to graduate school, and I ended up working. So staying and get married. I'm 86 years of age, and I've been in Philadelphia over 60 years. And I've been retired 30 years.
Well, I admire her because one thing about her, ever since she started the school, she always wanted education. I never forget. She would cry sometimes if she had to miss a day out of school. And she went to school for many years with a perfect attendance. Didn't miss one day. But she came down with the eczema one time, and she had to be out of school most of that term. That's why she didn't graduate till she was 19, because she had to be out of school one time. Eczema breaks out all over. It got all in her head and her body and everything. We had to take her to the doctor, so she just had to be cared for. But she always wanted to be educated, and she always was proud and wanted to be somebody. She never ran around coming home drunk and all that kind of stuff and disgracing the family. She didn't do that, no. And she always liked church. She always used to sing on the choir and work in the church when she was young and all. And the older she got, the more she got. And when she came up here at this church, she used to be the director of Christian education at her church, but now when they had that program. And so she always admired that for her. And then she always would help me cause we was poor, but I was always able to have the little money ready to pay her bill. They didn't pay it like you have to pay it now. I had to pay $49 a month. She got a scholarship, and I had to pay $49 a month to put to that. I think that was for her room and board at Benedict College. I think that's what they told me. But anyway, I always had that, and then that's when I got the job going to work for North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company. I worked for them 27 years after she graduated and everything. And so we made it on like that, and then she would always help me when the house needed the girls set my house on fire that I rented to. House had to have a cover on. She sent me money for that, and she would always send me money to help me, and still will. Anything I need, she's always got it for me. She still does it, and she's always been, because she used to always get mad when children didn't take care of their mom and daddy. She's always been a loving, caring person for her parents, always. And she got a B.S. at Benedict. She got a master's at Temple here in Philadelphia, and she got a doctorate at the University of Sarasota, Florida, Sarasota, Florida. and so she has all of that, and she's well educated, and she's well known, and she's done a lot of good teaching and training. She said when she got her doctorate, that her professor told her, now, Miss Caldwell, now you eligible, now you can preach, you can marry folks, and you seminary from the seminary. Yeah, she went to the seminary. She finished the seminary. I forgot about that. The seminary where you get them DD's degree and all. She finished that. But anyway, she said that he told her you can preach or teach or marry folks anything. So she said, I ain't gonna preach. I'm no preacher, but I will teach. So she's always been a great teacher, and still is. She's a good teacher. Know the Bible real good. Oh yeah, this is my brother's granddaughter. Oldest granddaughter. My brother's oldest granddaughter, Sanguinetta Dover from Atlanta, Georgia, right now. She's visiting with me here today in Philadelphia. And we just tickled pink to have her.
And this is my beautiful, beautiful Aunt Gertrude, my great Aunt Gertrude, who I love so much. And I'm just so happy to be here with you. And I'm just so happy to have you here. And this is amazing for me to hear all the stories. And I'm just so touched to hear the history of our family and to know all the greatness and the contributions you've made.
The thing that I think about my mother the most is that she is consistent. She believes that there is a God, which I do believe there is a God. Her whole life is centered around what God would want you to do for others. I can't get her to go to a daycare because they don't have nothing there that is of interest to her. They have, all kinds of games and things like that. That's good. And a little Bible study. But mostly, she doesn't want to go because they want to talk about what they used to do. And now that we are at this age, we don't talk about what we used to do. We talk about what we're going to do when we get to heaven. And that's what she's interested in. She's interested in those things that make you want to do something that will help someone else.
I would say, definitely keep God first. God is the center of our lives and gives us the strength, our health, the vision of, what we are to be and how we are to be it. So I would definitely echo what Aunt Gertrude said earlier about just, faith in God and living a good, wholesome life and being a benefit to other people. We're put here to serve others and to help other people. So I definitely believe in that, and that's the message that I would give to the future generation, my niece, and all those that come after us. Well, the thing that I admire most about Aunt Gertrude is that she is current. She can talk to you about anything. We were talking about Uber the other day, and so she knows about everything. She's current, and she doesn't let any grass grow under her feet. She just knows what's going on, and I can talk to her like she's one of my girlfriends. We laughing and talking and having a good time.
Okay, but I told you a woman should never tell her age, but at my age, I just told you all of everything.
We're out.